Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to a quick reaction episode of the Jay and Will Show. My name is Jay.
I'm Will.
And we are fresh off of watching the Dallas Cowboys Tampa Bay Buccaneers game. I think it ended maybe 20 minutes ago. Which wanted to hop on for a little bit and just discuss, things that we saw, takeaways, concerns, high points, low points. Oops, sorry, y'all. And just discuss what we saw overall. So I'll kick it off to you, Will. Just high-level thoughts, and then we'll kind of go over some individual stuff here in a second. But just overall thoughts on the game.
Dak was only sacked once for 12 yards, and that's with Zach Martin not in the game against one of the better front seven in the league. So that was nice. Also, you had so Dak threw 58 times, but you also would against the number one run defense in the league as well. So I think this will be the most he throw for the whole season. It's you just going up against a front seven that just stifles the run from the per yardage per attempt is like right around 3. They were the best for yardage, scores. Like they shut down the run, so it was understandable that Dak was going to have to throw a lot, and he did, and he was pretty good with it as well. But yeah, for the O-line to hold up like they did with Dak out the game was huge, especially being able to move forward for the rest of the season. Defense actually played much better than I expected. They got a total of like 4 turnovers, 3 real turnovers. Then you had the one at the end. I think they're going to have to throw Jordan Lewis in kick return during practice, just so that he know when he has the ball in his hand where to go. Because the Hail Mary at halftime, it felt like he ran to the crowd instead of running to the middle of the field to give more space and to get away from players. So it just felt like he ran to the crowd. And then on the fumble recovery, on that last turnover, he ran into one of his own players.
His own dude,
Trayvon. Yeah, he ran to the back of Trayvon. Trayvon looking at him like, what the hell, bro?
Where you going, bro?
But yeah, I think they got to get him into some return practices that whenever he does get some those type of turnovers, he'll know how to make a play instead of just scrambling. It'll be a legit return and get yardage moving forward. But overall, it was a better game than I expected. I don't remember when we did our scheduling, if I said that they would win or lose, but once Zach was at the game, I was like, so I might have said with a W. But once they said Zach was out the game, I was like, ooh, I don't. Yeah. But they actually played a close one. So when are they going to start looking at a kicker?
There you go.
Because if he would have hit his kicks, like outside of the 60-yarder, I'll give him that. That was still a pretty good kick off the 60-yarder. Yeah. But the short field goal and the extra point, that's 4 points right there.
4 points off the board, we win the game. Or at least they have to score a touchdown to win the game.
Exactly. You make it that much tougher. Right. For on them to be having to get the win. So just making those kicks is really important. Like 3 phases of the game, you gotta the detail. So I think he started feeling it. It seemed like down the stretch because he actually started putting it. So like his kickoffs were short.
Yeah.
For most of the game.
Yeah.
And then I think it was like the last 2 scores. He actually kicked him out the back of the end zone. Yeah. I was like, oh, okay. He actually getting it back there. Like, man, finally not getting a doggone return anymore. So I think that was huge. I guess he did. He did get into the groove, like they were saying. This is post back surgery and everything else. I tell my wife, I needed for him. So y'all season ended that first weekend of January. I needed for you to get that back surgery done on that Wednesday,
Yeah,
and then you had that 6 months recovery and everything else. But yeah, my wife also reminded me it's like it was also COVID, so those
that's a fair
optional
point.
surgeries and everything else. Like, ooh, okay, I give you
Fair
this.
point.
I give you this. He's like,
Yep,
yeah, he's not Dak to where he can just walk in and get the surgery. Like, this
that's
is
fair.
also true. It's also true.
That's fair.
But yeah, overall, it was a great game. Dallas played much better than I expected. I think just the defense got both sides of the ball got a lot to clean up.
Yeah.
The penalties were
Mhm.
bad. Just giving up too many plays. Uh, we got barbecue chicken brown. He
Jesus.
got they gotta figure out something over there. I guess it's all about the corners being able to get healthy and being able to take that up. But yeah, it was just barbecue chicken. But the bright side on defense, Michael balled out, Demarcus balled out, Trevon Diggs he played a hell of a game too. He balled out this week.
Yeah. So like I don't know if Maurice Kennedy is hurt or I don't know because there was a lot of talk about him really having a
That was early
good
on.
training camp and a good
Yeah.
preseason, and
Mm-hmm.
there was discussion about obviously we know Trayvon Diggs was going to be the starter on the left side, but there was questions about who's going to be the starting corner on the opposite side, and there were talks about Anthony Brown hasn't really earned the job, but they may go
Yeah.
with him just because he's been here the longest. But everybody was talking about, well, a lot of people were talking about how good Maurice Kennedy was and how he really deserved the opportunity to start.
Yeah.
So when Anthony Brown's getting burnt up, I'm like, okay, so when are we gonna at least try something different?
Yeah.
Because that Tampa team, you can't wait around.
Nah, they run up and down the field on you.
Yeah, and they was looking for him. Like you said, barbecue
Yeah.
chicken. They was seeking him out. So that part was disappointing. I think overall, it was, I don't want to say a net positive, but I think it went better than we expected it to go. And you can hang your hat on the fact that they hung around with Tampa. Um, there was a lot of people like, well, why we got to play them week one? But I will say that if we played this team week 10 or 11, when they got all the issues ironed out and they're a well-oiled machine, it would have been a different result. Just because there's obviously a lot of things that they have to work through as far as they have a lot of penalties also. So I would rather get a shot when they fresh off the bat, kind of feeling high, got the banner lifted, feeling themselves a little bit. There's an
Yeah.
opportunity to take a shot. So I would rather have them now than later on when they have everything kind of loaded out. Um, I don't want to hear no more questions about that. We're done.
Exactly. He proved it.
No
He
more
proved
is
it.
this. It's over with. I don't want to hear it. There's no more question that conversation is over with. He
Yeah.
he made it crystal clear that he's fine. So talk shows, I gotta come up with something else to talk about for next
Yeah.
week because it ain't gonna be him at all. Like you said earlier, this man threw for 58 attempts,
Yeah.
over 400 yards. Conversation's over. And
Yeah.
one thing you talked about too, I just want to echo is to lose one of the top 10 offensive linemen in the league. I would say top two guards in the league. It's him and Quentin Nelson. I feel like are neck and neck.
Yeah.
To only give a one sack. Now there were some close calls, obviously, and
Yeah.
we saw a lot of
The
holds
pushback.
that
Yeah.
would have prevented other sacks, which that's kind of part of the game. All in all, it could have been a lot worse than it was. So I give kudos to the front line for their performance. I don't know if I give them gold star, but
No, they wouldn't get a gold star, but it was like a thumbs up. Good job.
from consider thumbs up is probably perfect. Considering what we thought was going to happen,
Hmm.
once we found out about Zach to what actually happened, like it was not as bad as it was. So I give Conor McGovern a lot of credit for him stepping in and playing well. We know our offensive line is 6 people deep. So after Conor McGovern, there's a steep drop off.
Yeah.
But it is good to have that flexibility so that, we know that he's proven himself to be a formidable offensive lineman, and someone that we can kind of use as kind of a pillar because obviously Zach's not getting any younger. Tyron's obviously not getting any younger, and Lyle is still young, but his body is a lot older. He's got a lot of injuries and stuff like that. So it's time to start that, at least get in the process of starting a transition from the gray wall that we knew before in the Romo days and early Dak days to what we're gonna have to work into now. So I give him a lot of credit. I'm ready for that to come back, but it still was not as bad as it could have been. Also, like you talked about, like they should have left Greg Zuerlein in Tampa. Like he shouldn't even be on the plane. Like I you can't say enough about how much we kind of always talk about this because for some reason special teams seems to always be an issue for us. So we always talk about special teams.
Yeah.
But other teams that are good don't talk about it because they have good special teams. Yeah. Bones is they giving up hell yards on kickoff returns, punt returns. I think Brian Anger did okay. I think he played the
ball. He had that timely 62-yard kick.
Yeah,
like that was timely.
That's the bright spot. And to know how bad we were like ready to get rid of Chris Jones for like 6 years now.
Yeah.
To finally have somebody who's decent at a punting game is great. But man, that kickoff return, the overall return team in general is just not it. Obviously, Zuerlein just not it. So it's just you hate to waste this type of a performance by both the offense and the defense. Defense they got 4 turnovers.
Yeah.
2 fumbles, 2 interceptions, and you can't get it done. So I just hate that something as, I won't say simple, but something like special teams is really what cost us the opportunity to win this game. And that's unfortunate because of the way Dak balled and the way the defense actually got turnovers. Yeah. So yeah, those are the biggest things. The CD guys start dropping balls.
Yeah.
That's kind of bothersome. Because that one play when Dak threw it in the middle of the field over like 3 defenders, I thought that was a horrible throw. But then I saw the replay, I'm like, oh, he had his hands on it, so he got to catch that. Like, yeah. And for Dak to put that ball where he put it with like 3 or 4 Buccaneers around them and him to still drop it, like CD got to catch
right there in there. Yeah.
So he had a couple of those. So those are my biggest takeaways, man. I overall, obviously, like I said, I don't think it's possible to say it's a net positive because we still lost, but it could have been a lot worse. So there are some things to look at as a positive. To your point, the 11 carries by Zeke is not. People are going to look at that and be like, "What are they?"
Yeah,
we hear that for the rest
90 million for 11 carries.
But it's game plan, and I appreciate that we understand that because for so long we were just like, "This is who we are. This is what we do." And no matter what, we stick into the plan. We run the ball on first down, we run the ball on second down, and then we throw it on third down. That's what we do. So the fact that they're at least acknowledge, okay, that's not going to work on this team, so we got to have a different approach. I appreciate the fact that they're very, it's a very scheme or game plan to where it's molded to fit the weaknesses of the other team, which is hard to say Tampa has weaknesses, but we know their strength is their front seven.
Their secondary is weak. I feel like if they had Zach, I think Dak would have had an even better game. I think instead of kicking the field goals, it would have been more touchdowns because the protection would have been that much better. I will stand on that. I think they would have actually did better.
Do you think because we obviously are used to them driving, them getting to like the red zone and having to kick the field goal. And we saw that a lot today. But for some reason, to me, it didn't feel the same tonight than it felt that it's felt before. because it felt like for some reason before we just kind of petered out. And a lot of the stuff that a lot of situations where we end up kicking field goals, something happened. I don't want to say fluky because it happened damn near every time, but
Yeah.
either it was a holding or it was, CD dropping the ball. There were opportunities there that I felt like for some reason tonight didn't feel as normal or typical as the ones that we have. Because we'll have big plays and get to like the 17 and then go incomplete, incomplete, incomplete. Or we'll throw it for some reason, throw the ball on first down while we're in the red zone, and then be 2nd and 10 or 2nd and goal or whatever. And then either try to do some trick shit where we're doing like an option or a toss or something, and then we don't get that. So we're 3rd and goal at the 9, and then there's a hole or something. It just seemed like today didn't seem that much of an issue with us executing as it was just like, A, we're playing a good defense, and B, there were just like little things that could have turned. So I didn't feel as discouraged when I didn't see them score, but I also felt like we're not getting these points when we're going to miss the field goal. But was there any part of it that did it feel like same old Cowboys for you in those situations, or did it seem like there was a different feel?
It was a little bit different because to me, it wasn't just running up against running your head up against the wall. Because I feel like that's what they were doing a lot of times, especially on the Garrett wants to get into the red zone. Like you said, to run first, 2nd down, and then throw it. And it just felt like when they just doing that, you're not giving yourself a real option of picking up a touchdown.
Right.
But today, with them throwing it like they were, especially like in the red zone, I felt like it was just a play here and there that they just ended up missing out on. And I feel like that moving forward, I think they will be able to complete those plays to get into the end zone more. Because I feel like um, the I just want to play the offensive coordinator,
Kellen
Kellen
Moore.
Moore. Yeah, I feel like that he knows like this year that they have to punch it in. Like this is because the way that your defense is, field goals aren't going to do it. You have for you to be able to protect your defense, you got to put up touchdowns. They did very well today because they had the ball so long.
Yeah.
More than so much longer than what Tampa had did, which kept them kept them in the game. But yeah, moving forward, you can't settle for field goals, especially when you get turnovers. You got to punch it in. You got to get those touchdowns.
Last 2 things I had, and obviously we can discuss whatever you want to talk about. Was that a push off at the end?
Yeah.
OPI?
Yes. You
Because
see,
y'all
he's
called
got
on
next
Amari
time.
last year in week 1.
Yeah.
Y'all called on Amari against the Rams week 1 last year.
Exactly. This
So
and Jalen flopped in week 1.
right.
So
And
even
this
if
was
you
legit.
say Jay Lou flopped in this one, you still called it. You got to call that just like you did last year because you can see his arm extending.
It's clear. It's clearly extending.
And they're trying to say like he was off balance. Yeah, because the guy pushed him. He's
No, Chris said
turning.
that because he's a wide receiver, so he's trying to. But
yeah,
it was so obvious. I was like, bro, seriously, we just not gonna call that.
But I was on Twitter before we hopped on. Your boy Dan Orlovsky was saying that it wasn't OPI.
It was or was not?
Was not. Mina
Of
was
course.
saying it was, but Dan was saying it wasn't.
Of course.
Because a bunch of folks under her mentions talking about it wasn't. He didn't extend his arms. Like, are you serious right now?
Did y'all not watch it?
You didn't see the play then. Just say that you don't watch football. But yeah, it was definitely OPI. It's not why they lost, but it was definitely OPI though.
Right. And I saw a lot of people complaining about this, and I did not think it was that bad. You kind of touched on it a little bit, but the decision to go for the 60-yard field goal towards the end of the first half. Were you that upset with that decision?
No, not really. I wasn't.
People were really pissed off about that decision. I'm like, I kind of get it. Like, there's not a lot of. I mean, it's a risk obviously because you're giving them the ball near midfield, but they only have one timeout left, and to me, it's kind of like them actually saying, "Hey, defense, we trust you to not mess this up." And
Yeah.
so, with it being week one, it's like we're trying to give you these little things to give you some confidence to build off of.
Yeah.
So I felt like it was a good decision because, as inaccurate as he may be, Greg has a leg.
Yeah.
So he's made those long distance attempts before. So for me, I felt like it was like if he makes it, we got 3 points. If he misses it, he misses it. But he only had one time I left, and I don't know if they're gonna push the ball that far. Obviously, they tried to get the touchdown that got picked at the end of the half, but
Yeah.
everybody was just like, "This is a really stupid mistake," and I'm like, I don't think it was that bad of a mistake. I mean, I'm not necessarily saying I would have done it. I'm not necessarily saying it was the right call, but it wasn't as blasphemous to me as a lot of people made it seem. So I was curious to know if you felt the same way, because I'm like, he's made worse decisions than that.
Exactly.
like,
and this ain't one of them.
This ain't one of them. Like, if you want, there's a lot of stuff you can look at and get on him about. I just don't see that one as being one. But I was just curious because almost everybody universally that I saw on Twitter was like, why would you even attempt that field goal? And I'm like, I don't see the big deal.
Yeah, it's just because to me it seemed like he's trying to steal a few extra points because you get the ball first in the second half.
Exactly.
So it's that what the Patriots call that you can get a 14-point swing, what they typically did. But yeah, you score right before half, and then you get the ball in the second half and score again. So that could get your momentum going and change the whole game. So I mean, it is what it is. I think that was one of his better misses, to be honest. Like, that's closer to those other ones. Those other ones was just wide to the left, and that one actually like started in the middle and then curved. So it was a lot closer.
Yeah, I wasn't that mad about it at all. Before we go, or before I'm done with stuff, just I know you touched on him a little bit, but just overall impressions on Mike Parsons, man.
So dude's a beast. I think it was funny what Tampa was trying to do. So Dallas would put him in for passing downs, and then so what Tampa started doing was start calling run plays when he was in the field on the field, but he was still wrapping niggas up. Like, it still didn't matter as much. Like, they still had a couple good runs, but overall, like, he was still right up in their face in their grill. So it's like, all right, so we have our every down linebacker. So don't even take him off the field. He can rotate everybody else. He stays in the game.
Yeah. There was like a couple instances where he bit on the play fake a couple times.
Oh, yeah.
But I think it's just a matter of him. It's just gonna take reps for him to just not get sucked in like that. At least not as much.
Well, that's kind of what Chris was saying. The fact that you don't have a good run defense. Like, if your front four was good enough to stop the run, then you won't have to
worry about that.
Exactly. Like, you could still drop back, stay right there in the middle of the field. But since the run defense up front is so porous, like, you have to have that linebacker help to make sure that it gets stuff.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think we had more just come with time. I will say though, it seemed like they rushed for more in this, but Tampa only had 52 yards rushing.
Yeah, we got the number one rush defense in the league.
Yeah, clearly, obviously, stuffed them. And then too, I mentioned this in the group chat. I don't know if you saw it, but after Rojo fumbled the ball, he ain't touched the field no more.
I didn't even notice that, but yeah, that's crazy.
That was it.
I mean,
I
get it.
Oh yeah, understandably so.
Yeah.
Any last thoughts from you, man, when we wrap this up?
Nah, it was a great game. 2 of the last 3 football games have been really good. Florida State on Sunday night and the Cowboys tonight. So it's looking promising.
Even Kansas won a football game. That won't happen the rest of the year, but they won a football game. So I'm
See,
about to
like
bask in this while I can.
it's been crazy so far.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, it was a good game. They like I said, they got a time to clean up, but they got 10 days to do that now. So when they step out again, it's gonna be really interesting to see what they do.
Yes. Yes, indeed. So yeah, it's good to have that little mini bye
Yeah.
going to LA, and we'll see how you do against the Chargers. So, guys, that's gonna be it for us. We'll be doing this weekly. At the end of every game, you'll hear from us. Um, if you guys have anything you want to see from us, we'll also be doing weekly prediction shows. May or may not have a special guest with that throughout the season as well. We'll have to see how that goes from a schedule perspective, but we'll certainly try and get that going. But yeah, this is the start of some more consistent programming from us, from Jay and Will. So glad to be back. Football's back. We're good. Mavericks be going around here pretty soon in the next couple of months. So
41 days from the season start.
there you go. So it's about to be on popping now with that Go Sun Sports channel. So please like and subscribe as always, guys. We appreciate the support. Like our channel, Glow Sun Geeks. For your ambition, follow us all, man. Follow the whole Glow Sun production. For Will, this is Jay and Will, and we will see you guys next time. Appreciate you guys.